It was a morning steeped in pageantry, where the past and present collided in the rhythmic stamp of boots and the fluttering of regimental banners. The air in Windsor crackled with anticipation as soldiers polished boots to a mirror shine and adjusted scarlet tunics with the practiced precision of centuries-old ritual. The king himself was to arrive, not merely as a sovereign, but as the living embodiment of a history that stretches back more than 1,000 years. On this sunlit June day, His Majesty King Charles III presented new colors to the Coldstream Guards, one of the British Army's oldest and most distinguished regiments. The event marked a significant moment in the ceremonial calendar, but more than that, it reinforced the deep connection between the monarchy and the armed forces, an unbroken bond forged on battlefields and parade grounds alike. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. A regiment steeped in history. The Coldstream Guards boast a lineage that predates the monarchy's restoration in 1660. Formed during the English Civil War by General George Monk in 1650, they are the oldest continuously serving regiment in the British Army. Their motto, Nulli Secundus, second to none, reflects not only their seniority but the unshakable pride with which each guardsman wears his bearskin cap and crimson uniform. For the Coldstream Guards, the presentation of colors is more than a mere ceremony, it is a sacred rite. The colors, the richly embroidered flags bearing the regiment's insignia and battle honors, are symbols of loyalty, courage, and sacrifice. They once served as rallying points in the chaos of combat. Today, they embody the spirit and continuity of the regiment. Arrival of the King. As the Household Division Band struck up the regal notes of God Save the King, the crowd rose as one. A hush fell over the assembled spectators, and all eyes turned toward the royal carriage, making its stately approach along the long walk. The sun caught the gold braid of the king's uniform, casting a warm glow over the scene. Dressed in field marshal uniform, King Charles cut an imposing figure, a modern monarch with a deep reverence for the traditions that define his reign. Stepping out onto the parade square at Victoria Barracks, the king paused briefly, surveying the assembled troops. His gaze held a kind of ancestral weight, an understanding that the moment he was about to preside over echoed countless others, stretching back through the reigns of his forebears. Here stood men and women who had sworn allegiance not merely to the crown, but to the enduring ideals it represents. The ceremony unfolds. The guards stood rigid, their white-gloved hands clenched around polished rifles, their eyes fixed forward. Each rank was a study in discipline and dignity. As the regimental sergeant major barked out orders, the old colors were paraded for the final time, a poignant farewell to the fabric that had seen tours in Afghanistan, Iraq, and ceremonial duties at Buckingham Palace. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Then came the presentation of the new colors. Silence settled over the square like snowfall. King Charles stepped forward, the gleaming new colors held before him on a crimson cushion by a young ensign. The flag was radiant. Scarlet and gold threads caught the light, the regimental badge sewn in exquisite detail. As the king grasped the staff and held it aloft, a cheer rippled from the crowd, brief, spontaneous, but full of heart. Speaking into a ceremonial microphone, His Majesty addressed the regiment with warmth and gravity. To carry these colors is to carry the legacy of every man and woman who has worn this uniform. It is a trust, not lightly given nor lightly borne. As your sovereign, I am profoundly honored to present these colors to you today. May they always inspire you to serve with courage, integrity, and the spirit of your noble motto, Nulli Secundus. The applause was restrained, as befits military decorum, but it rang with the pride of families, veterans, and fellow servicemen watching on. A living symbol of unity. What made this year's presentation particularly poignant was its timing. As the United Kingdom continues to redefine its identity in a post-Brexit, post-pandemic world, moments like this remind the nation of its shared heritage and enduring values. The monarchy, often seen as a ceremonial vestige, reveals its deeper purpose in such moments: to unite, to inspire and to link generations. For King Charles, this ceremony was also personal. As a former serving officer in the Royal Navy and a lifelong advocate of military causes, he brings a tangible sincerity to such events. His presence is not merely symbolic, it is participatory. His understanding of military life lends a weight to his words that soldiers recognize and respect. Moreover, this was the first colors presentation by Charles since ascending the throne. For many observers, it was a subtle but significant marker of his style of kingship, less ostentatious, more grounded in service and solemnity. Behind the pageantry, real people, real service. While the grandeur of the event is undeniable, the gleam of medals, the precision drill, the thunderous salutes, it's easy to forget the human stories that march behind the spectacle. Among the guards on parade was Sergeant Alice Thompson, one of the first women to serve in a frontline role within the regiment. Her parents watched from the stands, tears in their eyes as she received the king's commendation. "I never imagined I'd be here, taking colors from the king himself," she said afterward. "It's not just about tradition. It's about what we stand for today: diversity, duty, and honor." Elsewhere, veteran Color Sergeant David McCallum looked on with quiet pride. Though long retired, he had carried the colors on active duty in Bosnia and Northern Ireland. "It's not just a flag," he said. "It's every mate you lost, every cold night in the field, every parade where your heart beat in rhythm with your boots." Seeing it handed over by the king, it brings it all back. A monarch in step with the future. King Charles's reign has been marked by a subtle but noticeable evolution in royal engagements. There's more interaction, more focus on individuals, more conscious blending of tradition with the realities of modern life. The colors presentation reflected this ethos. After the formalities, the king mingled with guardsmen, veterans, and cadets. He laughed easily, offered words of encouragement, and even stopped to greet children waving Union flags from the sidelines. It was a moment of connection, genuine, unscripted, and warmly received. One particularly touching moment occurred when the king paused to speak with a 9-year-old boy in uniform, a member of the Army Cadet Force. "Are you going to carry the colors one day?" the king asked. The boy nodded solemnly. "Yes, Your Majesty." "Well then," Charles smiled, "you'd best practice your drill." The boy beamed, and his parents looked as if they'd remember that moment for the rest of their lives. The legacy lives on. As the band struck up the final notes of the national anthem and the soldiers filed off the parade ground with impeccable coordination, there was a sense that something quietly profound had just occurred. Not merely a ceremonial duty fulfilled, but a living tradition renewed. The new colors now belong to a new generation of Coldstream guards. They will be saluted, paraded, guarded, and eventually laid to rest like those before them. But their first moment in the sun, received from the hands of a king, will live on in regimental lore. In an age where so much seems transient, moments like this remind us of the enduring value of honor, discipline, and service. And as King Charles turned back toward Windsor Castle, flanked by loyal guards and echoed by the cheers of his people, it was clear that the monarchy still holds its place. Not only in pageants but in the hearts of those it leads. Subscribe the channel to get such videos.